All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're unpacking a massive existential threat to the open web's economic foundation. It's this wild issue that sits right at the intersection of cutting-edge artificial intelligence and the most basic, foundational plumbing of the internet. We're going to use this explainer to dig into a really insightful piece from Tech Reader magazine by Aaron Rose. He brilliantly breaks down exactly how AI crawlers are literally rewriting the rules of online publishing and how a completely obscure piece of old code is actually being resurrected to fight back.
Think about this for a second. For 35 years, a very specific piece of internet plumbing sat completely dormant. I mean, it was written into the very DNA of the web, but it went totally unused. It literally took 3.5 decades and the sudden explosion of industrial-scale AI for this dormant code to suddenly wake up and try to fix a system that is rapidly breaking down. But to really understand why it woke up, we have to look back at the deal that governed the web for the last few decades.
You see, the open web, as Aaron Rose points out, was essentially built on a handshake. It was an unspoken foundational deal that we all just kind of accepted. Publishers spent their time and money to produce content, search engines indexed that content and pointed human readers directly to it, and then ad networks and publishers monetized that human attention. So you visit a page, the publisher gets your attention, and maybe you click an ad, maybe you buy a subscription, or honestly, maybe you just share it with a friend.
So through the 90s, the 2000s, right on through the 2010s, this cycle matured. And sure, we all know the economics were sometimes a bit fuzzy, and the advertising model absolutely created its own weird distortions, hello, clickbait, and content farms. But at the end of the day, it was an imperfect loop that was undeniably functional. It operated on a recognizable exchange. Traffic meant people, and people meant value was reliably flowing back to the creators who actually made the internet worth reading in the first place. But here is the core issue disrupting all of that today, the asymmetry problem. A human reader might spend, 30 seconds on a page? In that time, they generate an ad impression, they might make a rare purchase, or they share the link. Over millions of visits, that feedback loop funds the next piece of content. But an AI crawler, it visits that exact same page, extracts literally everything of utility, routes that value somewhere else entirely, and gives absolutely zero return to the creator. To truly grasp the gravity of this asymmetry, we really have to look at the industrial scale of this consumption. It's staggering. Some estimates show that a single AI crawler will make over 100,000 requests per publisher per crawl cycle. That's a volume that's honestly difficult for human minds to even conceptualize. They are just vacuuming up the web's entire knowledge base at breakneck speed.
And here is the absolute gut punch. Out of all those hundreds of thousands of rapid-fire requests, you know what the publisher gets? Zero. Absolutely nothing. 0 page views, 0 ad impressions, 0 email subscribers, 0 book sales. The crawler reads everything and sends absolutely nothing back.
Let's break down exactly how a modern AI transaction works, just to see why this happens. Step 1. A user asks a question to an AI agent. Step 2. The AI rapidly retrieves and synthesizes live content from, let's say, 12 different publisher pages to create this perfect, complete answer. Step 3. The user reads the answer, they're satisfied, and they close the window. They never even needed to click a link. Meanwhile, 12 publishers received a server request but absolutely no human visitors. Their analytics dashboard shows nothing. They just get this invisible, unquantifiable server log entry.
Aaron Rose hits the nail on the head in Tech Reader magazine. He notes that publishers are just watching their referral traffic erode in real time. And this isn't just a simple shift in reading habits. He says it's a massive value extraction problem dressed up in technical clothing. The AI isn't just some new variation of the old search engine model, it's actively replacing it. It's breaking the feedback loop entirely. Which brings us right back to that 35-year-old mystery from earlier. How do publishers actually fight back? Well, enter HTTP 402. Now, everyone knows the 404 error, right? Page not found. But 402 was reserved all the way back in the original 1991 web specification for payment required. Because the web ended up relying on the attention economy and advertising, it just sat dormant. We literally never needed it. Until now. This sleeping giant of a status code is finally being deployed to stop AI extraction and charge these agents right at the digital door. So how does this work in practice? The primary mechanism making this happen is Cloudflare's monetization gateway. For the first time at a massive scale, a server can look at an incoming request from an AI agent and, instead of just handing over free content, it responds with a price tag. The AI, acting on behalf of its operator, has to make a choice. It can pay the fee, it can move on, or it can be completely turned away. Suddenly, these massive, invisible, free-writing transactions are forced into the light. They become visible.
With this tech emerging, every creator of web-accessible content is now facing three distinct choices. The first choice? Just leave the door open. You keep publishing as normal, and you just kind of hope that AI companies eventually develop referral behaviors that send human traffic back to you. It's an optimistic stance, for sure. But historically speaking, trusting tech giants to voluntarily change a model that heavily benefits them hasn't exactly been a winning strategy.
Okay, the second choice is to lock the door entirely. Publishers can use standard robots.txt exclusions and aggressive rate limiting to just block AI crawlers altogether. The whole goal here is to preserve the content strictly for human readers. But there's a pretty massive catch. This strategy completely assumes that human search-driven traffic will survive. If AI answers displace traditional search queries anyway, the audience arriving through those locked-door channels might just dry up.
And that leaves the final option: charge at the door using the 402 approach we just talked about. You treat AI access as a licensed, paid transaction. Financially, this makes the most sense. However, it requires some seriously complex infrastructure that most independent publishers simply do not have right now. Plus, it assumes that AI operators will actually agree to pay rather than just routing around the paywall to go scrape someone else's free site.
So, looking at it, none of these three choices are really ideal. Whether you rely on hope, use robots to lock them out, or use HTTP 402 to charge them, you are forced to play defense. Publishers are scrambling right now because absolutely nobody who originally designed the web anticipated a future where the primary readers of the internet would literally stop being people.
And this brings us to what is really at stake here. Underneath all the technical transactions is a much, much deeper question about what the web is actually for. If content can be endlessly consumed without the consumer ever reaching the creator, the incentive to produce that content just plummets. Sure, some people will always write for free as a hobby, but the economics that sustain full-time content production, in-depth investigative journalism, and deep technical writing, those require a functioning revenue model. If that vanishes, the high quality of information that the AI relies on will vanish right along with it.
Which leaves us with a final, absolutely vital question to ponder. The 402 code waking up is a massive signal that the web's implicit social contract is actively under review. We're moving toward micropayments, licensing regimes, or maybe something completely uninvented yet. The technology of AI is going to keep changing at a breakneck pace, so can our economics actually keep up with our technology to save the open web? It's a fascinating, high-stakes shift, and it's definitely something we all need to be watching closely. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me, and keep questioning the systems that build our digital world.